Hello everyone, it's Alex from Bad Decks Play Badly, and this is this week's deck. I'm going to call this one Elephants at the Door. It'll become very obvious why it's called that very soon. If you like this deck, please like, please subscribe, please leave comments. All of it is appreciated. Alright, so this week's this week's deck, I did say at the end of the last video that I'm going to make an elephant tribal deck. Elephants aren't exactly a creature, well, a type of creature that gets much love. A lot of the creatures are kind of bad, or just they're kind of overpriced for what they are, mana wise. So I've kind of got an idea. I've got a sort of mildly janky sort of combo, which I think can actually be quite beneficial. I've had one or two practice games with this, and it does work, and it is really fun. There's nothing clever about it though, except one thing, and I'll get into that now. I'll start with, I guess, one of the key pieces of the deck is here. It's a tribal card, an artifact, Door of Destinies, which costs 4. And as Door of Destinies enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. So this isn't that good a tribal card for the most part. It doesn't do anything when it first comes down unless you play a creature directly after it. And it does take a long time to get going. Once it gets going, however, you are just going to win. I mean, just playing 1/1s, there will soon be 7/7s, 8/8s. It's very effective once it gets going. I think it's more of a commander card, really, than a modern card. However, the reason I'm playing this, other than any other sort of tribal cards, is for our 1-drop elephant, which I'll go for now. Greenbelt Rampager. You may remember this from Standard a while back. When it enters battlefield, pay 2 energy. If you can't, return it to an owner's hand and you get an energy. So essentially, to put this creature down, unless you have any energy outlets, to put it down, it was going to cost you 3 land. So you can't play it on turn 1, and you'll be able to play it if you fully tap out on turn 2. It's quite good for a 3/4, even turn 2 3/4 is very good. But as you can see, with Door of Destinies, I have to play that creature 3 times. So if I have a Door of Destinies down and I play a Greenbelt Rampager, that's 3 counters on Door of Destiny. So all my other creatures get +3/+3, which is good. If I have several Greenbelt Rampages, if I have several of them, you can see how this escalates very, very quickly. So in fact, Greenbelt Rampager is by far the most important card in the deck for that exact reason. I'll go through the 1-drops now, and then I'll get around to the other elephants. So, 4 Path to Exiles. We're playing green-white, if you didn't guess already. And Path's just the best removal in Modern for white. So that's why we got that there. Very self-explanatory. I use it a lot. I've got 4 Birds of Paradise. And I've got 2 Elvish Mystic as ramp. Because most of our stuff is really kind of 3 and 4 drops, so we don't really need to do much more than just have a Bird of Paradise or an Elvish Mystic out, and we should be fine. I've prioritised Birds of Paradise over Elvish Mystic purely because it can create white mana as well, and as we're playing green-white, that's kind of important. So yeah, 4 Birds of Paradise, 2 Elvish Mystics, and 4 Greenbelt Rampages. In the 2-drop slot, we don't actually have any elephants really that are 2-drops which are any good. There are some, but they're very much just fodder for sealed play, really. A lot of them are very bad. I did search and they're not the best. So I thought I'd go for another tribal card. Metallic Mimic in the 2 slot. As it enters battlefield, choose a creature type. Metallic Mimic is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Each other creature you control of the chosen type enters battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So if we haven't got Door of Destinies, this just allows us to curve out nicely and just make all of our other elephants stronger. And yeah, it's just a good card. Good card overall. We also have 1 Evolution Charm, purely just because I wanted to play it. So you search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. That's one of it. Or you can return a target creature from your graveyard to your hand, which is probably what I'm going to use this for mostly. And target player gains flying into end of turn, which is actually very important. All of our creatures don't have trample, so they can get giant, but they can just chump block us for days. So just being able to give 1 flying is actually a big deal. So really all 3 parts of this charm are actually very useful in this deck. and I just want to play a token copy just because I don't think I've ever actually put it in a deck, so why not? I've got 2 copies of Dramoka's Command, another just brilliant card which doesn't see much play in Modern anymore. It's very good. So you can choose 2, prevent all damage, target instant or sorcery spell would deal this turn, so that's quite good against burn, stuff like that. Target player sacrifices an enchantment, that's very important. Enchantments are an issue in Modern. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature, and target creature you control fights target creature you control. So this is just kind of a catch-all. I can use it as removal, pump one of my guys, get rid of an enchantment. Just a very good card, and I think it's quite good to run 2 copies next to Path to Exile. Between that and Evolution Charm, it's just a nice sort of broad range of what I do. When you're playing so many creatures, you haven't really got much room for the other stuff, so it's good having cards which have multiple uses, really. Okay, so to the free drops. Whenever a creature, Elemental Bond, says an enchantment costs 3. Whenever a creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So this would be a pretty average card usually. However, all of our creatures except Metallic Mimic have 3 or more. So we're going to be, every creature we play, we are going to be drawing a card, as well as it also has the same combo with Greenbelt Rampager as Door of Destinies. So if I have an Elemental Bond down, and let's say a Door of Destinies, I can play a Greenbelt Rampager, I draw 3 cards and put 3 counters on all my creatures for 3 mana. That's no joke, that's very good. And I played a few practice games, and I did have 2 Elemental Bonds down, and as soon as you get a Greenbelt Rampager, it's just game over. You just stop your hand so quickly. Very cool card. I've got 4 copies of, now we're back at the elephants, so 4 copies of Loxodon Smiter. It's a 4/4 for free, already. It's just great value. This spell can't be countered, so we can get around control decks trying to counter. Excellent. And if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard Loxodon Smiter, put it onto the battlefield instead of putting it into your graveyard. So this is good against like Liliana's or any discard decks as well. So it's just a problem card for a lot of people, and just a 4/4 for free is just way ahead of curve. So it's just awesome. It's probably our best elephant in the deck, other than Greenbelt Rampager. Just a very good card. And then we've got pretty much the equivalent, the 4 mana drop. So it's a 4/4 for 4. It's kind of average. Loxodon Hierarch. However, when it enters battlefield, we gain 4 life. So that's good against sort of burn decks, And we can pay a green and a white to sacrifice it and regenerate each creature we control. So it's kind of like a Selfless Spirit, but in elephant form, and we have to pay for it. So it's not quite as good. However, this can save us against board wipes and stuff like that, which we are incredibly open to, in all honesty. But that is it, really. We have 1 copy of Call of Calling as well. It has no real purpose other than I want to always find Greenbelt Rampager. So think of this as the 5th copy of Greenbelt Rampager. That's purely why it's in there. It also will help with some of the sideboard stuff, but that is in the main deck at least. That's why Call of Calling is here. Purely just to fetch up Greenbelt Rampager so we can have Greenbelt Rampager. That's really it. The rest is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forests. 1 Gavany Township, just for extra pumping if things go late. It helps also with our Birds of Paradise, Elvish Mystics. Just get them a bit bigger. Just a very, very good land. 4 Ghost Quarters. This is just kind of land destruction. We're going against Tron or anything like that. I don't have any Tron hate or land hate even in my sideboard, so Ghost Quarters are pretty mandatory in the main deck. I've got 1 copy of Oran Reef Devastwood. It comes onto the battlefield tapped. I can add green with it, of course. I can also put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So it's just, because we're playing a lot of green creatures, in fact all of our creatures are green, it's just nice to get 1 extra counter. A lot of our creatures are relatively cheap, so sometimes we'll have this just floating around extra, just so we can get an extra counter on. It's just a bit of value, really. We have 1 plains, just in case we get pathed and all that stuff. I've gone very heavy on forest, just because, Elvish Mystics and Birds of Paradise. And I'm going to get into all of our budget lands. I don't really have much lands that are that good for these colours, in all honesty. So I'm just going to go with ultra budget. This is just Scattered Groves. Enters battlefield tapped. Bit annoying, but hey ho. But it also has 2, so I can cycle it, so I can discard and draw a card, which is kind of important because I don't have that much card draw. I do have, 3 copies of Elemental Bond, but being able to cycle lands is quite important just in case I start flooding out. I've got 2 copies of Stirring Wildwood. It's just a creature land, comes in tapped. I can pay 3 to make it a 3/4 white elemental creature token with reach, which is quite good. We're not particularly great against flyers, in all honesty, so this is quite good for that. Plus against board wipes, a 3/4, being able to attack each turn. It's very good. And now, last but not least, 4 copies of Sun Petal Grove. It enters battlefield tapped unless you control a forest or a plains. Self-explanatory. It's just a good budget land, and that's why it's here. But yeah, that is the main deck. I do enjoy playing it. Games it over either really slowly or really quickly. When it goes quickly, it's usually better for us. Alright, we'll go to the sideboard. So I've got 2 copies of Oblivion Ring. This is just against planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments, just anything that's causing us issues. Oblivion Ring is kind of a very good budget catch-all for everything, and that's why we're playing it here. So 2 copies of that, very good. Against Burn, we have 1 copy of Timely Reinforcements. So if you have less life than your opponent, you gain 6 lives. If you control fewer creatures with an opponent, create 3 White Soldier creature tokens. We are a creature deck, but we a lot of the time actually do have less creatures than our opponents, purely because, what is it, 8, 12... So we have, I think, 16 creatures in our main board? I can't be bothered to count, but it's a lot of creatures, but not a lot by a lot of creature deck standards, so it is just very useful. It also helps against tokens and all that stuff. We've got 2 copies of Spell Type Enforcer. I was tempted to put this in the main deck, but I thought that it's very circumstantial and it costs 5 to get down. But whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player sacrifices a permanent unless they pay 1. That's all it is for a free fee, which is very good. It's very good against a lot of control decks who like drawing, or they like, I don't know, or like a storm deck, for example. It's our version, almost, our elephant version of Thalia. So yeah, that's kind of what I say. It's not really the main deck, because the main deck I've kind of built for just smashing face. But if we go to a more mid-rangey kind of deck, this will work out a lot better. Another stuff against really control is just Heroic Intervention. You may have seen it in a previous video where it pretty much won me the game. I think it might have been game 4 of the last lot. Can't remember. But just kind of saved my bacon against that, and I just like any cards which hose control, so I like this one. And it will kind of keep our elephants from being board wiped, which is the most important thing. I've got 1 copy of Kassandu Tuskcaller. So I put this in because she herself isn't an elephant, she won't trigger Door of Destinies. Door of Destinies? I keep forgetting what it's called. Yeah, Door of Destinies. So this won't trigger Door of Destinies, which is why I didn't want to put it in the main board. However, it is very good. It's one of those level up cards where if you level it up to level 2, you can start tapping and creating 3/3 green elephant creature tokens. So this is more of a, once Door of Destinies has already got the counters on, this card then becomes good, so I can just create a ridiculous amount of elephants, which will hopefully be pumped to ridiculous levels of power and toughness as well. I've only got the 1 in just because it's not great actually early on in the game, but it's very good against sort of grindy matchups, control matchups, a lot of removal. It's a good top deck, so that's kind of why it's here. It's just a pretty cool card, and I wish I could have more, but I just don't think it would work with the deck as well as I'd hope it would. Because it also doesn't get triggered by Metallic Mimic as well. So yeah. I've got 3 copies of Reclamation Sage. We can all tell this is not an elephant, which is kind of annoying, but sometimes you just need to get rid of artifacts or enchantments, and our 2 copies of Dromoka's Command might not be enough. So I've just got 3 copies of this. You can fetch it up as well with Call of Calling, which is a pretty cool thing to do. And that's kind of it. I mean, just good artifact and enchantment removal. Bow of Nihilea. So this is another one where I just kind of wanted to put this in a deck somewhere. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. That's not that big a deal unless they've got bigger creatures than us, which is probably actually quite rare. But if they do, it's always good to bring it in. It's also here just for the life gain, so I can gain 3 life if I choose to and tap. I put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, 2 damage to target creature with flying, which is actually quite important because we have no real ways of counteracting flyers, so that's kind of our bad matchup if they've got a lot of flyers, like, I can't remember the enchantment, you know, all creatures with flying get +1/+1, something wins, or whatever. Anyway, that card will wreck us. Any deck, favourable wins, that's it. Any favourable wins decks will ruin us, so this is just quite good against that. And, yeah, and we put 4 target cards from your graveyard on the bottom of your library in any order. That's not actually that bad, it's just what we want to do. Okay, so for free, a 4/3 cat snake, also known as Prowling Serpapard, well, we'll call him the Prowling S for now. A token cat. This is just for against control decks. He's not an elephant as well, which is kind of annoying, but elephants are very underpopulated in the Magic world. But he can't be countered, and the creature spells you control can't be countered, which is good. It means they've got to wait for removal and getting rid of him before they can start countering our stuff if they're playing control. So yeah, just a good card. And 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus. You know how I hate graveyard decks. They're quite fun to play, but I do hate playing against them. So I've got 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus. It's just to deal with their graveyards. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. But yeah, that is the deck. I hope you liked it. And the game should be fun. It's going to be one of those ones where if we get the right matchups, we can go 5-0. If we get the worst matchups, we can go 0-5. It really is very circumstantial. I've tried to make it consistent, but it is difficult because I'm using elephants. So hopefully smash face. If not, game 2, eh? Alright. Well, if you like the deck, please like, please subscribe, please leave comments. If you've got any ideas, I'm always looking to upgrade my budget elephant deck. Cool. Alright, I'll see you guys for the games. Have a good one, guys. Bye.